Welcome, everybody, to Run, Jump, Stomp, a podcast about games because we needed another. You can find the show notes for this episode as well as other content at runjumpstomp.com. This is episode 40 for the week of August 7th, 2016. I'm Bill, one of your hosts, and joining me is my co-host, Zap.
Good evening.
Zap's phone is going off. That's not the end of the world, though. Or at least it's starting to. I can hear it going off. This week, we're going to be talking about no more playing with power.
Xbox 2 terabyte gone forever.
There's a PlayStation event for September.
2K to still support Battleborn.
And apparently my fifth story has disappeared. I'll find that. And then your sixth story?
No Man's Sky, anyone there?
All right, so thanks everybody for joining us. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about no more playing with power. So this is something that I was really excited about, and then it all came crashing down. And I don't know if anybody was a fan of Nintendo Power when you were, like when I was a kid. I loved getting a Nintendo Power magazine and reading through everything. And just a couple of weeks ago, I got really excited because Nintendo Power had the entire archive put up on archive.org, so you could go through and look at them. And I downloaded two issues of it to my iPad so I could read them offline. And you know, I decided I'll check that out and see how it goes. And I read through the first one, and it was great. And then I started reading through the second one, and then I saw a story the next day that said that Nintendo issued a takedown for Nintendo Power, and they were no longer going to allow it to be up there. So Nintendo Power Archive has been taken off of archive.org, which really upset me. In very related news, there was a remake of Metroid 2, which is originally a Game Boy game. And that Metroid 2 game was remade, and I was smart, and I downloaded it before it got pulled off, but Nintendo said, nope, you can't have that either. And so they're running around making sure that nobody has any of their old stuff without permission. So I guess my question to you, Zap, is what do you think about... First off, did you read Nintendo Power, and what do you think about this particular news article?
I never read Nintendo Power, but this sounds like classic Nintendo. It really does, like the whole thing about old IPs that they own. That it's not even just old IP; it's new content. Unless you're part of a their own content creators program, they just literally just pull everything and anything. Whether Nintendo Power had permission from Nintendo to upload this, not sure.
I'm pretty sure it was uploaded by a third party, so it wasn't Nintendo Power that uploaded it.
Yeah, so basically what Nintendo have done is said, look, you can't do this. That's complete copyright. No. And you hear of so many horror stories of even like YouTubers being pulled from uploading new Nintendo content. In the wrong way that Nintendo didn't like it, then okay, fair enough. But if I think that Nintendo should relax a little bit. I really think if they weren't making any money out of it, it was just for nostalgic reasons. It was bringing back some old memories. Like you say, you sounded really excited about this whole, you know, being able to read this magazine again. Then that's not a bad thing. I don't think. I think the bad thing is Nintendo just pulling it. It's the same old Nintendo. They pull stuff left, right, and center.
Well, at the same time, the thing about copyright is if Nintendo doesn't sue to enforce their copyright, they can lose their copyright. So I understand that they're legally obligated to do this, and they are. If they don't do it, then they can lose the copyright on the stuff that they have. But I think they went about it the wrong way. What they should have done is said, you know what? We're going to take this down, but we're going to put it up for you on our site so that you can go through and see these old issues. And if you've never checked out like old comic books or old magazines and stuff like that. Some of my favorite things are looking at the old ads that people used to put in magazines. They're ridiculous. Like, you get the glasses, that like X-ray vision glasses or whatever. They're ridiculous and stupid, but it's really cool to see those. Like, I had some PDFs of the old Amazing Spider-Man comics, and like, you'd be flipping through it, and like, they would show like this really skinny kid, and he's like, oh, are you too skinny to get girls or whatever? Make sure you eat this muscle powder or whatever. And it just, it makes me laugh at those old ads. Now, so that's for Nintendo Power. They had to take it down, and I wish I'd have downloaded all of them ahead of time instead of just a couple of them. But they should put it up someplace where people who want to read this stuff can download it. And you know what? Charge 10 cents an issue, or charge $10 for all the issues all together. Make some money off it very easily. The other thing is the Metroid thing, and the Metroid thing, they had to do this. I don't really see another way for them to get around that other than maybe reaching out to the guy who made this this remake of the game, which I downloaded, so I will stream it someday. They should have reached out to that guy and said, hey, how about we just hire you for not a lot of money, and then they wouldn't have to worry about losing their copyright on stuff like that. So anyway, that's just how I feel about it. You have any other thoughts on that?
I do agree. Sitting there thinking that, yeah, Nintendo have got to do that. They've got to remove. But I do agree. They should give people a chance. They should give it a chance. And like I say, you see it a lot with Nintendo. It's kind of like they've shut the door on it straight away before they can, let it flourish. And they could probably make a fair bit of money out of it. Okay, uploading it in the wrong way, like they did through Archive, and same with the Metroids. There's a guy who's willing to spend hours of his free time remaking a game that he obviously loved.
And people want to play it.
Yeah, that's the sad thing, with Nintendo. My personal love for Nintendo, I fell out of Nintendo years and years ago, but it just feels like they're stuck in a very dark way, and they're not willing to open their doors to new ideas, fresh ideas, to allow the company to grow, flourish. They're keeping Mario as their heads, their pin-up guy of this push forward, and it's change, or they're gonna run into a lot of trouble sooner rather than later, I think, personally.
Well, we'll see where they go when the NX finally, if ever, gets announced. Let's move on to story 2. Why don't you tell us about this Xbox story?
Well, personally, I'm not an Xbox player, but this is more about Microsoft than anything. Basically, Xbox One S was their slimline version of the Xbox One. It was announced at E3 this year. It looked incredible. To be fair, as not an Xbox fan, I'm not a Microsoft. I'm not an Xbox console fan, I should say. It looked gorgeous, and I was really tempted to pick up one because the Xbox One S actually was really, really well priced. So basically, it's a similar thing. They've made a 2 terabyte system, which is massive space to store loads of games, everything, and it's sold out. Every unit in every game shop in the UK, Amazon, everything. But I believe Microsoft knew this demand. They knew the production. Like any time a new game console comes out, or even a remake of an old game, there's always a serious, production. People want it. And for the price, I think, if I remember correctly, they announced at E3 that it was like just over $300 or something. It was ridiculously cheap for a games console of that kind of power. And especially with Christmas, dare I mention that word, not so long away, and these kind of things coming out at this time, people put these away. But basically, instead of going, hang on a minute, we kind of need to make some more units, they've just stopped making it. They've just got, done. And it's like, why? Why would you do that? And now eBay have got, you know, a flogging unit, 2 terabyte units for 500 quid. So they will go back to making the 2 terabyte one. Well, I don't think they will, because they say it's discontinued. And they're going to be releasing the 500 gig and 1 terabyte editions of the 1S instead. But it's an undetermined point in the future, and it's kind of crazy. I think that, again, Microsoft are missing out on a massive market, and it's a big revenue for them. Well, it's kind of like they've just given up straight away. You're a console gamer, or your thoughts are on this sort of stuff, Ranjam?
I haven't been well, okay. I am a PC gamer, and I also play Nintendo stuff. So I don't have any of the main the 2 main consoles. I don't have a PS4. I don't have an Xbox One. But there are people. There's a lot, like the PS4 really kind of came out of the gate swinging, and Xbox kind of lagged behind for a little bit, and then they started to catch up. And I think that if they had, I don't understand why they would discontinue this unless it has something to do with Project Scorpio, which I know is supposedly their next console that they're going to be bringing out.
Yeah.
But why put out a system in such limited supply if you're just going to cut it off anyway? I can understand if there's supply chain problems where you just can't seem to make enough of the things in order to get them onto stores. Like when the original Wii came out, they sold so fast that you could not get one in a store to save your life. Like, I remember when it came out, my wife and we had to spend the night outside of a Best Buy in November in order to get our hands on one because they were so hard to get. That doesn't seem to be the case with what's happening with the Xbox One. They're just washing their hands of it. Is that how I'm understanding this?
It seemed like that. For me personally, I'm a console gamer as well as a PC gamer. I've been a PC gamer for the last 4 or 5 years, like properly, a bit more hardcore. I've always been a console gamer. I've been a Sony man. I have had an Xbox. I had one of the 360s. I've had an Xbox and a 360. I've never had a one. But this 2 terabyte system really, got me. I thought, hang on a minute, this sounds like a bargain. And there are games over on the Xbox One or the Xbox that I would love to have played. Gears of War, I'm a fan of that series, and I think that there's a chance to go out and buy another console and stream some Xbox games and be part of that. But as we all know, games take up masses of space.
Yeah.
And for them to just say, look, sorry guys, the 2 terabytes, that's done. It's either it's 2 times. It's either a marketing stunt to basically make it look like a very limited console. And if you own a 1S, this white one, I think it is, then all of a sudden you're a part of a prestige club that have ordered early, and it makes it sound a bit more, exclusive. Or secondly is they were just completely unaware of how quick it would sell, and where they're moving on to Project Scorpio and gone, well, hang on, we can't really turn around and start making units like that again because all our money and funding is into Project Scorpio. So I think it's partly a publicity stunt or publicity for the company or people. And secondly, like I say, they're concentrating heavy on Project Scorpio. So I think it's silly. I think it's absolutely silly.
So just to make sure that I understand, this is just the 2 terabyte one that they've stopped making, right?
Yes. So instead, they're going to be releasing a 500 gig and a 1 terabyte. 500 gig these days is peanuts in gaming terms.
But at the same time, you can buy an external drive for an Xbox One.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
I don't really see a big problem with this personally. I thought that you meant that they were no longer going to be making the Xbox One S, which they just started making. So they're still making the S, just not the 2 terabyte.
No,
version.
but they're unsure of when the 1S will be released. They think it's October 7th. But I think they're a little bit unsure.
That's really funny to me that they're not sure when it's going to be released, but they say the 7th, because that's just weird. I would say, we're not sure, maybe October, but October 7th? That seems odd. My guess is it's probably going to be on October 7th. But well, this kind of leads us into the next story anyway. And that is that PlayStation is announcing a September event. And the September event is, many people think, around the PlayStation Neo or the PlayStation 4K or whatever it is that they're going to call it. So we've got the Xbox One S. Now, did that get a bump in specs as well to make it a faster console, or is that just the slimmer one? I think that's just the slimmer one, right?
It's just the slimmer. I believe it's just the slimmer one. Let me check.
But then there's the Xbox has Project Scorpio, and then PlayStation has the PlayStation Neo, which I think is a code name. I don't know. What do you think about this much faster console cycle than in past years? It used to be, you would, like, I remember the PS1 came out, and the PS1 was around for 12 years. The PS2 came out like 10 years after the PS1. And then, but you could still get PlayStation 1s for 2 years after that. And then the PlayStation 2 had a ridiculously long console life. And now we're at the PS4 and the Xbox One, and they both have a much shorter console life. So what do you think about this this new shorter console life, where you're going to be expected to buy a new console more often, but if it has backwards compatibility built in, it really seems more like it's on par with the cell phone market or with the PC market. So are you happy about that as a console gamer, or are you unhappy about that?
It annoys me completely. Honestly, I can't stand this Project Scorpio and the Neo. I think they're a waste of money, a waste of time. The amount of people that have 4K televisions for a start is pretty much limited. And basically, they have stated, if you haven't got a 4K TV or a 4K monitor, don't buy a Neo or don't buy a Scorpio. They're catering for a small percentage of market, which usually PC gamers fall into that market, because usually a PC gamer is out there to, get as much, out of their PC as possible. Their rigs, their graphics cards, their 4K is that kind of next step up. I can't stand it. The PS2 lasted, I think it was 10 years before the PS3. As you said, it was a long lifespan. But when they announced the PS4, they basically said there and then that the PS3 hadn't reached its full capacity in what it could do. There was still actual PS3. So here they are churning out a new console, basically to please a very small percentage of market, which is probably going to cost in England, we're in the region of £350 to £400. I think it's balmy when there's not going to be any advantage for me personally switching over to a Neo over or whatever they're going to. From a PS4, I have a PS4. It plays all the games I needed to play. It looks good, not as good as my PC, but I think it's sad. I think they're just rinsing the consumer for everything that they can. I just don't agree with it.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. The way I look at it is they have to do something to compete with PCs, because PCs always can be upgraded, and they have a much faster cycle for upgrading things. And then they also look at things like the cell phone market, where people are buying a new phone for hundreds of dollars every single year. And I think that, like, right now, when I look at the current console cycle, and I look at this, and I'm not a console gamer, but, maybe in the future I will be. It makes me feel like there's one of two ways that it can make somebody feel when they go to buy a system. They're going to look at the system and they'll say, okay, I need to wait because they're going to bring out another one soon. Or I'm going to buy this new one right now, and then I'm going to be hit with buyer's remorse in a year when the next one comes out. And I think that the console market the customers who belong in the console market, they're not used to that type of thing where you buy a system and in a year it's outdated. Now, one of the good things about the current console or the current consoles is that they're basically using PC architecture. So developers are able to develop games for them. They can hit the ground running. It's not like when the PS3 came out and developers were like, this thing is a horrible pain in the butt to program for. But we'll figure it out. And it took them a while to get the PS3 figured out so that they could really do amazing visuals. I mean, compare the visuals at the beginning of old console life cycles to the visuals at the end of a console life cycle. Usually, they looked a lot better. But these days, they don't really improve that much from the beginning of the console to the end. And I think that, these days, I mean with the current gen, I don't think that graphics are really improving that much, which means people aren't going to be driven to buy the... It's okay for people to wait. And it almost feels like they're rewarding people for waiting. And I don't know that that's good for the business model. So I think I agree with you. I think that consoles need to have a longer lifespan. But I don't know if they're ever going to do anything like that again. Because if you can sell somebody a console for $300 every year, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, like I say, it goes back to it's bleeding with the, you know, it's that whole point of, you know, you hit the nail on the head perfectly. You know, you'll get at Christmas time, little Timmy goes into a shop with his mum and dad's, and you've got two PS4s on the shelf. One to the left of him is all brand spanking, shiny, does 4K, 4K vision, all this stuff, and then one on the left is you know, the old version that's only been out. I think the PS4's been out now 4 or 5 years.
I think so.
It's been out.
Yeah,
about 4 or 5 years, maybe.
Does anybody in chat know? Let me look it up.
Yeah, but it hasn't been out very long, and like you say, I really think that, I mean, the PS4's got amazing power. As a PC gamer, I will say this, that the console that the PS4, the power it outputs is amazing, and they shouldn't just let it run its course before needing to bring out, you know, these 4K consoles. Because like I say, I think when Microsoft announced the Scorpio, they even came out with the line, if you don't have a 4K telly, this isn't for you.
Yeah, just so you know, it was 2013, so it's been less than 3 years.
Wow.
For the
okay,
PS4
so
to be out.
That's mad. So 2013, the PS4 was released. I personally got one. My first PS4 was actually just under a year and a half ago. I got it just after I got married. It's a wedding present to myself, and I do enjoy it. I think it's a great thing, but you know, it's the way of the common market now. So
yeah, and at the same time, the one thing that absolutely that both Sony and Microsoft absolutely 100% have to do if they're going to shorten the console life cycle. If they don't do this, it's going to really bite them in the butt. They need to make sure that developers make their games to run on both the PS4 and the PS4 Neo, or the Xbox One and Project Scorpio, whichever thing it is. Because if they don't develop their games so that it runs good on both, it's really going to make it will effectively cut their market in half, which is what Nintendo has been dealing with for years, because they have two markets. They have the console market, and then on the other hand, they have the 3DS market. And that makes it really hard for them to show that they have a good library, because their library is cut in half. And if they don't force the developers to make sure that the PS4 version runs just as good as the PlayStation 4 Neo version, then it's really going to tick off customers, and people will go the other way. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's it. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say you're completely right. And we, like I say, you do see that a lot in console gaming. You see a split for some weird reason, but no, completely agree.
All right, let's move on to the next story. This one's about Battleborn. Go ahead and tell us the rundown for this.
So basically, Battleborn is a great piece of gaming software. It's a really good game. And obviously done by 2K, Gearbox, the guys who did the Borderlands series. It's very Borderlandsy. It has that kind of humor to it and all that sort of stuff. And the art style, very Borderlandsy as well. And basically, it's been classed as a flop. And it had like a really quick chart success and then just dropped off the planet. If you look at Twitch, for instance, the game that you can compare it most to, now these games aren't the same by any, but you would compare them most to is something like Overwatch. Overwatch is watched by 40, 50,000 viewers. Battleborn, you'll get 200-300 at a push. So what Battleborn does have is a PvE mode, but essentially it's a battle arena where you can build things, build like turrets and stuff, but it just hasn't quite hit the mark. Now, I'm glad 2K aren't giving up on it, but my feelings is I think it's dead in the water. I think it's a game that at the time was releasing right on the back of Overwatch. And we all, as we discussed last week about Blizzard games, how Blizzard games suck people in. Look at Hearthstone is always top 3 of the Twitch streaming list.
Definitely.
Overwatch is up there. You've got WoW Legion coming out very soon. Even I am thinking about getting a copy of Legion just to see what it's going to be like. So, and 2K, I think, for one, the reason why it hasn't done so well is when it was released. The publicity's never been brilliant. But I personally think 2K should say, right, okay, well, Battleborn, you had a good run. We'll support the servers, but this is gonna the content is they want to bring out new content with it. That's all good. That's all fair enough. But maybe concentrate on a new IP. I don't know, have you played Battleborn? Is it something that you've looked at personally, Run Jump?
No, I haven't played Battleborn. Well, first off, the developers made a huge timing mistake. I feel like I wouldn't say that they should have rushed to get the game out the door. They got the game done when they got the game done, and that's just going to have to be how it is. But it is a character-based shooter. With the same art style that really screams Overwatch and TF2. And while I know that it's not just like those games, on its at the surface level, that's what people think when they see it. When you look at it, you think to yourself, okay, I think that this is probably a lot like Overwatch, and I already have Overwatch, so why am I going to play this? Now, I think it came out just before Overwatch did, and I think that they could have saved themselves a lot of heartache by waiting 6 months. Take 6 months, make 4 or 5 extra maps or something, make another character, polish the game up even more, and wait for the hype of Overwatch to die down so that they can get back in there. Now, in retrospect, would that have worked? Probably not, because Overwatch just revealed that they were going to be doing, like we talked about last week, they do that thing where they release updates to their game all year long to bring people back in. And if they'd have waited 6 months, I think it came out in May. There's May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So November is right around when Christmas time is coming. I bet that Overwatch is going to have some kind of Christmas thing, and that would have distracted people. So I think Battleborn has what I would call a perception issue. It looks too similar to a game that came out from a giant publisher right at the same time, and that really bit them in the tail. They tried to lower the price too, didn't they?
Yeah, and it's also part of the humble bundle deal.
Oh,
And you can
okay.
get it for £11 now, which blows my mind. The fact that, but no, not blows my mind. It actually shows how far out they are with the consumer there. That they had this game that could have been something different, could have been something unique, but within 6 months of its lifespan, no, sorry, less than that, 4 or 5 months of its lifespan, they've already put it in a sale for £11 with other games. So for me, that's a written off IP. That's end game. There's no point going in. The other point I want to make about Battleborn is they advertised this PvE, and that was their selling point. This difference from Overwatch, from TF2. And other ones, Paladins is another one that's out there. So there's so many character-based shooters. I mean, this year we've been sat the market for character-based shooters.
And it was a really long time where we didn't have any. And then they all kind of showed up at once. And by the way, if you haven't tried Paladins, it's free and it's good.
It's very good. It's very good, and that's a great game. If you can't afford the Overwatch, that's a great game to get yourself into these character-based shooters. I don't think Battleborn is worth paying all that money when, like you say, you can get something with a lot more character. For me personally, like in Overwatch and other games in the same genre, it's a shame that it's just flopped. But they should scrub the IP, go back to what they were doing good, which was the Borderlands series, which is completely different to anything that they've out there. And let's get a Borderlands 3 on the market, please, because I crave that kind of game.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree that they should get rid of that they should just scrap it, because from everybody that I've talked to says that it's actually pretty good. It just unfortunately has a perception issue. So I think what they need to do is fire their marketing team. Kodiak Moonwolf in chat, by the way, says Battleborn is up to $39.99, even on the Humble Bundle store. So it looks like the bundle is over. So if you it looks like you missed it.
Okay, but $39.99. So we're talking £40. That's a lot of money for a game that
and
they're coming out and saying we're still supporting it. That's a little bit scary. That's when, like you say, a character-based shooter, Overwatch, is £30. The cheapest is £30.
Yeah. No, it's 40. 40, isn't it? Oh no, okay, because that's pounds. I gotcha. It's $40 for. Yeah, that makes Battleborn more expensive than Overwatch, and wow, that is really a mistake. They really need to talk to their marketing department and find a way to convince people that this is a different game than the other one, so the people will check it out. It feels almost like WildStar. WildStar is a really good game that nobody plays. That place is a ghost town, and it's not because it's not a good game. It's because they had really bad marketing at the beginning. They communicated with They communicated to players that it is a game only for the hardcore. So people ignored it, and because people ignored it, there was nobody to play. And then they went through and they said, well, you know what? We'll make sure that our raids are still for hardcore, but you can play the game even if you're not hardcore. I say hardcore with all of the quotes that should happen, because I hate that term. I feel like it makes me sound like an idiot when I say it. But they're running into the same issue. There's a perception that it's a bad game when it's not actually a bad game. At least that's what I've read.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
All right. So story 5, which I forgot to put in the show notes, I'm sorry about that, is this is actually kind of odd. It's Xbox, or Microsoft has acquired the interactive gaming live stream company known as Beam. So Beam, I guess, is a competitor to Twitch, which I'm not really aware of, but it looks like Microsoft has just bought Beam. It doesn't say how much they bought them for, but This makes me nervous. This makes me very, very nervous because what this says to me is, what if Microsoft makes it so the Xbox One can only stream to Beam instead of Twitch? Because you said that the Xbox One has the capability to stream straight to Twitch without hooking it up to a computer at all, right?
Yeah, so does the PS4. They both can do that. That's one of the nice things about these new generational consoles.
Right. And my worry about Microsoft buying these guys is, will they make it so that you can't stream to Twitch, you can only stream to Beam? That would be really bad for them and for people who want to watch content for Xbox One on Twitch. So what do you think about that?
I think that's a massive mistake. Like, that's... I mean, we both know the number one streaming broadcasting site is Twitch. We both use Twitch on a regular basis. I've tried YouTube gaming. I got nowhere with YouTube gaming. Even done some stuff on stage for YouTube gaming myself, but haven't got anywhere personally. And I've never even heard of Beam. I've never heard of this service. So, and I can see Microsoft doing that. I can see Microsoft closing the codes and the backdoors and everything to the Xbox Scorpio. Maybe not the One, or they'll test it on the Scorpio first.
I guess the thing that they say about Beam as a service is that they have a much lower delay than Twitch or YouTube gaming. Now, I by the way, I've also tried streaming on YouTube gaming. It's a far better service that nobody watches. That's where I would much rather stream, but nobody goes over there to watch, so I stream on Twitch. Beam, I have no idea how many people watch stuff on Beam. I like the idea that there's more competition. I want Twitch to have competition. I want these companies, these streaming companies like Twitch, YouTube gaming, and Beam to force each other to improve. But it really makes me nervous when a maker of one of the main consoles owns one of the streaming services, because that feels a lot like Comcast owning NBC, where, hey, you can watch our shows on Comcast without counting against your download thing. It just seems like you got your hands in the wrong pot, and it makes me nervous. And Zen from chat says that he's never heard of Beam, and Lord La 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 says the Beam has a little over 2,000 viewers right now. So it's a very, very small service, and maybe that's why it can have such low latency. But it just makes me nervous that Microsoft owns them now.
It is a strange one for Microsoft. I mean, I agree. Competition for Twitch would be good. And me and you know what it's like to be that kind of, that starting out on Twitch is hard. It's hard work to start out on something like Twitch, because you are at the bottom of the pit. You are, the amount of what game you stream, you are at the bottom. But you have to kind of you have to have a bit of luck for someone to click on you. Luckily, myself and you stream games that aren't massively pop. They're not on like the top 5, and they have a lower viewer count. But once you hit that subscriber mark, once people can start subscribing to your Twitch channel, Twitch becomes a much better service. You get the whole, you get all of this stuff. My fear is, with less delay, isn't that more upload speed that you need? Isn't that a much more strenuous job for your own broadband or your own internet service provider? Doesn't that require a lot more of an upload speed than a lot of people have?
I don't know. I personally don't worry about my upload speed nearly as I worry about other people's download speed. Like right now, when I upload, I stick right around 2,500 kilobits per second, because if I go much higher than that, anybody who watches me will say, oh, it's buffering, because they don't have very good internet. And so I want to make sure that I keep it low. So maybe Beam does what YouTube Gaming does, and this is what makes YouTube Gaming better, in my opinion, is that they give encoding to everybody, or transcoding, I'm sorry, transcoding to everybody. So the smallest streamer can upload at 1080p, 60 frames per second, and if I've got a garbage internet at home, I can watch it in 240p just fine. Beam, maybe they do that, while at the same time Twitch, they only let partnered people do that, or if they have extra servers available for transcoding, then they'll let other people who have a certain viewer count do that. But I think that's really what, like, if you take Twitch, Beam, and YouTube Gaming and you look at what separates them, Beam is supposed to have the shortest delay, Twitch is supposed to be the biggest audience, and it is, and YouTube Gaming gives everybody transcoders, so it's more of a level playing field. I don't know what Microsoft is going to do with this. I just hope that they don't use it for evil.
No, I mean,
go ahead.
You'll have that kind of people who own an Xbox will be sitting there going, "Please don't remove Twitch. Please don't remove Twitch. Please, please." Because I know I would be if I was a console streamer, and there are a lot of streamers now on Twitch via console. They would be sitting there going, "Oh, hang on a minute. Please, please, please do not remove Twitch." So yeah, I completely agree. Don't use it for evil, please, Microsoft.
Yeah, and also, this is tangentially related. Whenever the NX comes out, it absolutely 100% has to have streaming capabilities that the other consoles have. Nintendo really doesn't like to do stuff like that. They're very protective. But if they don't do that, it's going to hurt them, because a lot of people want to watch people play Nintendo games, and if I have to go out and buy other hardware in order to play your games on stream, I'm probably not going to go out and do that. I have a Wii U. I almost never play it because I can't stream it. And streaming games is so much more fun than just playing them on my own. So Nintendo, don't go out and buy a streaming company or whatever. Don't make a deal with YouTube or Twitch or Beam. Just give the players the ability to pick for themselves. That's what I want them to do. But that's just me. All right, let's take a look at the next story. Something about No Man's Sky. What do you got, man?
Well, funnily enough, it had to appear somewhere in the podcast. No Man's Sky. Is anybody out there? I'm not going to do an overview because that's a little bit later. This is about the actual multiplayer in No Man's Sky, or the lack of. Now, basically, this article is about two streamers, and they attempt to basically. Now, if I remember correctly, No Man's Sky, when it was first announced, they said there will be a small percentage chance, like 1% chance, that you will find a friend in No Man's Sky. That you will have a chance to stumble across somebody in your 18 quadrillion planets, or however many there are in No Man's Sky. So these guys, so basically what happened was the sad cactus stumbled across a world, was already discovered by somebody else. And then basically he messaged this guy, and they attempted to get the coordinates so they could test out the multiplayer, and they made it to the same place, standing outside the same settlement, and nothing. They never caught sight of each other, which makes me think that it's all instance-based content, even though the actual game is, like I said, I'm not going to try and go into too much detail at this point. It's all, there's a massive code that writes the planets and everything, so nothing's the same. But once a planet is discovered, then that's locked in code. And if you were playing it, you found a planet that I find. That's how it will be found in your instance. Now, like I said, this is more about the guys at Hello Games came out with it, saying there is this multiplayer. It's a single player survival game, but there is this small percentage of multiplayer in the background. at the end of the day, this now shows that there is no multiplayer in No Man's Sky at all. Literally none at all. And they've gone back on something they've said. And Eskimo Princess dropped an article earlier to us saying that there are now lawsuits going into Hello Games, saying that this is false advertising. You advertise this as a multiplayer, be it no big, small, no big, or however big your multiplayer is. You advertise some form of multiplayer, and now there is none. So there are now lawsuits going into Hello Games because of this.
So what you're saying, I guess, almost is that No Man's Sky is a single-player game with a chat room? So you can...
There's no chat, there's nothing. These guys message each other, I think, off game. So they basically message each other like, I think there were 2 streamers. But there is no chat room. There's no way to leave messages in-game. There's no physical way of actually contacting someone else in-game.
Oh, okay. So it is a single-player game, but... Okay. Let's, if I look at the Steam page, it's advertised as a single-player game. It's not advertised as a multiplayer game.
Yeah, I think the uproar from the community... Now, I'm not one of these people who've joined this hype train of community uproar. That's up to people. I'm playing No Man's Sky for my own personal reasons. There seems to be this issue, the fact that they stated, Hello Games stated there would be this small multiplayer, and then Steam were the first guys to announce it as a single player game, and then everyone followed suit. And then Sean Murray, Hello Games, did tweet saying there is no multiplayer. But I think what people are annoyed with is instantly it was shown originally as it had some form of multiplayer, and this is what those guys were testing. They were testing this apparent multiplayer feature that was supposed to be there, but now everyone's finding out or being told it's not there. So, for me personally, it's not really affecting me too much, but I don't know where they're going to go with all this lawsuit stuff. If it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if it says, like, I'm at the PlayStation site and I'm looking to see if it says anything about multiplayer on there. It doesn't seem like it. Oh, game features. Here we go. So game features. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about multiplayer on there. I think that a lot of people are very quick to sue over nonsense. Sometimes it's just you're just sometimes people are just being ridiculous and they want too much. Now, I haven't played No Man's Sky. Maybe it's awesome. Maybe it's terrible. It's probably somewhere in the middle. But the game says that it is a single-player game. So the idea that these two guys were surprised, I don't know. I guess I'm just confused by that. When did the game, like, does it says on the box single player, doesn't it?
Yeah, on the hang on.
All right, so
I have the No Man's Sky box right in my hand, and on the back it says 1 player. I'm going to show it to the camera so everyone can see. I don't know how this is going to look. 1 player, and it has network features. That's what it has. Now, network features can come under a lot of categories. It doesn't have to be an online multiplayer game. They can have leaderboards. They could have, like say, a chat, stuff like that. That's really bad focus. So effectively, what people are doing are just jumping the gun massively for no reason whatsoever. But this game seems to have caused. There seems to be so much controversy behind this game because it seems like in the beginning they said one thing. Now they're coming out with something else. Oh no, okay, this is the day of lawsuits. This is the age of lawsuits. Let's just sue them. And I think it's sad and just silly. Play the game for what it is and enjoy it. If you're enjoying the game, enjoy it. If not, don't play it. Don't buy it.
Yeah, the guy who was in charge of it, he says, he says, if you want a first-person shooter, sci-fi, around-on-planet game, play Destiny. It's a really good game. That's not what we're trying to do. He says they said eventually they said that multiplayer might happen down the road, but I don't think at any time did they say we're selling a multiplayer game. So I don't know. I think that people are just too quick to get on those lawsuits. Oh wait, Kodiak Moonwolf just linked in chat that there was a something hidden under a sticker. Hold on, let's take a look at this. So it says, Sony has told Eurogamer that online play and increased age rating feature on the limited edition No Man's Sky packaging is a production issue. So apparently, if we look at the picture here, it says... Well, I can't really read it. It's really blurry. Did they take this on a potato? Yeah, look, it says single player right here. Yeah, I don't know what people are upset about. I don't know what people are upset about. It doesn't make any sense to me. But what are we gonna do?
Let's join the bandwagon of lawsuits.
Yeah, I guess so. It's just like that guy trying to sue. Oh God, who was? He's trying to sue Warner Brothers for Suicide Squad because the Joker's not in very much of the movie or whatever, and the Joker's on all the posters. So. I don't know. I just think people are too quick to sue. It's just ridiculous. But that's it for the headlines today. Let's jump over to the long play. You want to start us off?
Yeah, well, I'll start with my second of the two long plays, Final Fantasy X. Now, I'm doing this mainly for a stream that's coming down later in a couple of months. I've got a long plan, a stream plan. But, my God, if you've never played Final Fantasy X, it's now your best chance than ever. It's on Steam. They've done a PC remake. They've got a PS4. They've done a HD remake, and it's the most captivating JRPG I've ever played in all my life. I played it, completed it 12 times, and I've probably spent the best part of 2,000-3,000 hours in that game. And I adore every single minute. And I got it on the PS Vita, which is amazing because I can take it to work and I can sit in there on my lunch break for an hour playing one of my favorite games of all time. So it's one of those games that you've got to go out and play. But the second long play happens to be No Man's Sky. So as we were just saying, let's ignore the multiplayer stuff. And I just want to say something about No Man's Sky. If you haven't played it and you get a chance, go play it. It's beautiful. On a technical scale, it's amazing. 18 or however many they said. There's so many planets. It's beautiful. But don't go into it thinking it's going to be the next Destiny or this, that, and the other. It's something completely different. And it's a really soothing soft game to play. It's great. It really is a good game, but it's also quite... My fear is this. Now, I've been told by friends who have got to the point where they're past the first 10, 15 hours, and it's got interesting again. The 15 hours, I'm now getting to the point where I'm just jumping from planet to planet. I've done all the stuff that I need or stuff that I feel like I want to do and gone to another planet, making enough materials to get my warp drive sorted out and going to another star system. For me, it's getting to the point where I'm about 6.5, 7 hours in, and I'm starting to wonder if I can get to that 15, 20 hour mark. That's my fear.
Oh, you think because you're getting bored with it because it's repetitive?
Yeah. It is. It has a repetitiveness already. And that was my fear all along when No Man's Sky was being developed and when it came out at E3 last year. And they said, look, this game is coming out. Expect the unexpected with it and all this sort of stuff. And a lot of people who I know have bought it have got the same feelings. They've just gone, yeah, it feels a bit, yeah. While technically it's amazing. And the first time you take off from your ship, you get the stuff you need to rebuild your ship, and you point the ship up and you hit the pulse engines to take you off the planet, and you go through the atmosphere, and it's like the bright red glow is incredible. And every time I fly the ship, it's amazing. The controls aren't bad; they're quite smooth. That once you get used to them, they are really, really responsive. the space fights are fun. But I feel like there's just something missing, or it's just getting a little bit repetitive already, and that scares me from a game.
Have you played Elite Dangerous?
No,
Okay.
because I sat down at EGX, our biggest gaming convention over here in the UK, last September, and spent about half an hour with it, and didn't like it at all. No Man's Sky interested me because it was the whole 18 quadrillion planets. This idea that me or you could be playing, but you could start in a completely different area than I could.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's what really interested me. And I was hoping they were going to add more. They've set down their roadmap is they're going to add bases, this idea of building bases and stuff like that. Well, if you're going to add it down the line, why is the game, it doesn't need that to make the game improvement, or is there stuff, is it empty? Because we've all played Minecraft, or a lot of us probably play Minecraft, and take out the fact that Minecraft can be a multiplayer game. But in Minecraft, I know it has a loose story, No Man's Sky has a loose story, but you can build something, you can create something wonderful, and you see all these creations out there that people create in Minecraft, and unfortunately I have to compare No Man's Sky to Minecraft because it falls into that same category of survival, kind of blow up planets and worlds and take stuff, but once you take that stuff, you can't really do a lot with it. Just upgrade your ship, your suit, and your mining tool. It's a bit
it's more about just getting higher numbers.
Yeah, I think No Man's Sky has an identity crisis. That's probably the best way. That's probably my best review line I could think of. It has an identity crisis. I want to see it on PC because PC is going to look horrendously better than the PS4.
Yeah.
But, it has this identity crisis. It doesn't quite know what it wants to do and what it wants to be. It wants to be a space exploration game where you can explore all these planets and go from star system to star system. But at the same time, it wants you to be able to take elements and do stuff with them. So it's a bit like Minecraft, and it's just a bit confused. It's a bit confused.
Fair
I
enough.
think it's the best way to put it. Darian says, how does it play on console? Does controller suit the game? That I wouldn't know until I play it with a keyboard and mouse. It's very good with the joysticks. It's very responsive and where it should be. But, you kind of want, the joysticks, the big joysticks you can get, like if you're doing a flight simulator.
Oh, yeah,
you kind of want a couple of them. That's what you want. And you want like 3 screens wrapped around you to be completely immersed in it. I think would be amazing. But yeah, the first game I'll talk about, Final Fantasy X, go out and play it. I can't recommend it enough to anybody because it's a beautiful game.
Yeah, it's like 30.
So,
actually, Final Fantasy X on Steam right now is it's actually comes in a bundle, I think. Let me look it up real quick. Final Fantasy 10-2 HD Remaster is currently $30 on Steam. So that seems like a pretty good deal.
Yeah, there's 2 games, and both games have a minimum. So let me go back to Final Fantasy X a little bit. You have the international versions. So they originally released Final Fantasy X in the UK and America, and it came with like so much content. In Japan, they released a whole extra 100 hours of content for both games. So what you've got here is you've got in Final Fantasy X, you have a 300-hour game, and in Final Fantasy X-2, you have a 200-hour game.
For $30.
So for that, yeah, for $30, and there's so much content. Honestly, it's mind-blowing content.
That's awesome. I'm gonna add those to my wish list.
Honestly, they're great. If you never played a Final Fantasy game and you love a good story, then if you love a good story, Final Fantasy X is amazing. It's got some real heart jerking moments. It's great. So what about yourself, Run Jump? What have we been playing this week?
Well, I've been playing a game that the developer sent me a code for. and I just I unlocked it on Steam and didn't really pay attention to it. And then yesterday I was playing Guild Wars 2 for a little bit, and I got to a point where I felt like if I wanted to progress, I had to stand around for a while, and I got bored. Which isn't anything bad to say about Guild Wars 2, but I've been playing that a lot lately, so I needed a break. And so I was like, well, I'll try out this game that I had gotten a key to. I couldn't even remember the name for it, so it took me a minute to find it on Steam. But this game is called Chromagun, and I love this game. This game has completely blown me away. It's currently $12.99 on Steam, and this game is crazy. So I want you to get in your mind that feeling that you got the first time that you played Portal. Okay? It feels like Portal. They even have clearly this is an homage to Portal. The people who made this game must have loved Portal. All right? So in Portal, you know, you shoot little holes on the wall, and you can step through the holes and come out on a different spot, right? This, you have these little robots, and the little robots float around. Some of them have spikes on them. If they have spikes on them, you don't want them to run into you, okay? But you want to be able to control where they go, and you do that by putting paint on the walls or on the robots themselves. Now, when you put the paint on the wall, if it's a matching color, because they're attracted to the same color, the little robot, let's say it's a red robot, you put some red paint on the wall, it'll float over to the red thing. And so there'll be like these little pads on the ground, and you need to get the robots to stand on the pads to open a door. So it's a puzzle game. And you have a gun that has 3 colors. It's got the primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. And you can mix those colors to get other colors. So you can get orange, green, and purple. So you have yellow, red, and blue, orange, green, and purple. And then you've got these little robots, and you have to get them to go to different places in the room in order to open up the door to get to the next thing. I absolutely adore this game, and for $12.99 on Steam, it is an absolute steal. I can't say enough good things about it. As soon as I started streaming today, I knew that I only had about an hour before we were going to record the podcast, so I was like, I'm not going to play Chromagun, so I loaded up Rocket League. And as soon as I started streaming, people came into chat and they were like, hey, are we playing the color game today? And I was like, no, I can't, because I don't want to cut it off for the podcast, so we're going to have to wait on that. But definitely check out Chromagun. It's really, really fun. The other 2 games that I was playing, the other one is Rocket League. The reason that I was playing Rocket League is because of Overwatch's summer content. They had the Lucio Ball, which basically just was, we talked about it last week, it was ripping off Rocket League. It just made me want to play Rocket League really, really bad, and I've been having a blast with it. I didn't know that they added basketball and hockey to Rocket League. So now you can play basketball in Rocket League, and it's 2-on-2, which is great. My son and I played a few matches yesterday where we were sitting side by side playing on the TV, because I've got a Steam Link, and we had a blast with it. It's really, really good. So that was the other one. And then the last one that I decided to try out, I got it, it was on sale. It was already on my my Steam wish list, but it's a shooter called Ziggurat. And it is, I would say it's a very, like, if you've ever played, thanks, Asset. If you've ever played Doom, the new Doom, and you know that that's really a fast-paced shooter, this game is much more fast-paced than that. It is insanely fast-paced. It's not really guns. It's more of you've got like a magic wand, which is just a skin for a gun, really. And you've got all these creatures, and it's also at the same time a roguelike. So as you are going from room to room, it's different every single time that you play. So it's really interesting, and I had a lot of fun with it. I've only played it for probably about an hour, but I can see myself putting a lot of time into Ziggurat, and right now it's also on sale for $6 on Steam. So, and that's available for Windows, Mac, and Steam OS. So those are the games that I've been playing this week. Let's move on to Wishlisted. What do you have on your wish list for this week? Is there anything new that you decided to add to your wish list of things that you want to play but haven't yet?
I did, and this game is released, I believe, later this year, and it's called Neo. This is it's a Souls. Basically, it's a Souls game. It's a very Souls-like game, and I crave games that give me that kind of hardcore content, a hard style gameplay that has no difficulty level. The game is set at whatever the developer said it's going to be set, and you have to learn how to play the game. And there's nothing more enjoyable than actually beating somebody to a pulp after it's beaten you 3 or 4 times. And so Neo, is very Souls-like. But also, what's attracted me as a martial artist and someone who's a fan of the Japanese and the Chinese and the Korean culture, it's a guy with a samurai, and it's amazing. I played the demo earlier They did an alpha demo on PS4 earlier this year, and it was so difficult. I wanted to cry. Seriously, it was that difficult. I mean, I've played Dark Souls and all the Dark Souls. I've broken 2 controllers through Dark Souls. I think this could be the time where something serious gets snapped, because this game is just ridiculous. But it's also fun. It's a good fun. It looks good as well. It's a PS4 exclusive, which saddens me about exclusive games. I think they should open it to other audiences. Whether the IP will then go available to PC and beyond with Xbox, I don't know. But even so, it looks brilliant. It feels good. It's hard, and it's just what you need from a game that brands itself as a new Souls type game. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. What about yourself?
First off, that game sounds cool. Since first off, I don't have a PS4, so I won't be playing it, but I am really bad at those kind of games, so I probably wouldn't be playing it. But it does. I like the look of it. It definitely has a cool look to it. And I noticed that it was made by Team Ninja, who I think they made Ninja Gaiden, right? They revamped Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, that's the last thing I forgot to add. Yeah, and Ninja Gaiden was a damn hard game.
Oh yeah, like it was famous for being incredibly hard.
Yeah, that was the first game to ever set that standard of hard gaming. That's the same guys who did that, and so that gives me high hopes for it to be a brutally hard game. So yeah, it's gonna be good.
Awesome. So the game that I'm adding to my wish list is called Hard West. Now, it actually recently got mixed reviews, but overall, it's got very positive reviews on Steam. And for Hard West, it's I want you to think XCOM. So it's a lot like XCOM, and I'll look at that in a second. It's a lot like XCOM. And that's a turn-based tactical game. And it also is a Western that has cowboys and zombies. So it's really cool. It's a top-down game, very, very gory and violent. I wish that you could turn that stuff off, because I don't need that in order to enjoy the game. But it's got a really cool it's a cool idea behind it, and I think that it is the type of game that you can spend many, many hours playing and play through differently depending on how you approach the game. Probably solve the different levels in different ways. If you're watching the video, you can see the graphics behind it. It looks really good. It's got cool lighting, and it just looks like a lot of fun. And that's called Hard West. Currently on sale again. Everything that I picked was on sale this week, but it is 50% off on Steam for $9.99. It looks really good, and I'm adding that to the wish list, definitely, because it looks fun.
Yeah, I actually saw a video by Total Biscuit covered this game, and I've been I couldn't actually. So thank you for bringing that back to my team. Couldn't remember what it was. I love XCOM. XCOM's an amazing game. Haven't played the second one yet. I'm waiting for it to go on sale for me to pick it up. That looks really, really cool, and I will be picking that up. That's a really cool looking game. That kind of, if you can rename like the characters after you stream, stream community people, that's amazing. That's really cool, because then you've got that kind of added thing. Oh look, Quando just died.
Yeah,
got shot in the head.
Exactly.
You know, he made a mistake. You know, that sort of stuff. Sorry, Darian, I didn't mean to use you but you're the first name that came to my head. So, you know, those games, they're great, and they're a real cool tactical strategy game. So yeah, that's a really good shout there. Really, really good shout.
All right, well, that's it for the show this week. If you guys want to support the show, you can do so with a review on iTunes. That would be awesome. I also recently got we recently got approved on Google Play. So you can also find it on there. If you are looking for a way to subscribe, maybe you're watching this on YouTube or Twitch and you want to subscribe, just go to runjumpstomp.com/listen, and that will get you to all of the places where you can find the audio version of the podcast. If you want to be part of the show, you can email runjumpstomp@gmail.com, or you can call. You can call in and leave us a voicemail at 260-RUN-JUMP. That's 260-786-5867. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at RunJumpStomp. And where can people find you, Zap?
They can find me on Twitch at DJ Zap, on YouTube and Twitter at Django Zap.
Oh, hey, Zap, I don't know if you're looking at chat, but Lord La 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 just says the XCOM 2 is on sale right now, 45% off on Steam.
Why have people got to tell me that? Right
so open up your wallet and say goodbye to your money, because XCOM 2 is on sale. So he's going to change his wish list probably over to XCOM 2. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.